Bangladesh is set to beat India in terms of per capita GDP this year, and that's thanks to a sharp contraction in the Indian economy because of COVID-19 and the resultant lockdown. Now, that's the forecast from the International Monetary Fund's World Economic Outlook. Bangladesh's per capita GDP is expected to grow 4% in 2020. India's per capita GDP is expected to decline or contract by 10.5% to the lowest it's been in the last 4 years. This makes India the third poorest country in South Asia, with only Pakistan and Nepal reporting lower per capita GDP. Bangladesh, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Maldives will all be ahead of India as per this economic forecast. Now, the World Economic Outlook's database suggests that the Indian economy is going to be the worst hit from the pandemic in South Asia after Sri Lanka, whose per capita GDP is expected to shrink 4%. Now, what is all of this going to mean? Already lots of questions being asked about this. The fact that until 5 years ago, India's per capita GDP was nearly 40% higher than Bangladesh's. So, is it just the effect of the COVID pandemic, or is this something that indicates that the economy has been in bad shape even before this? All of those questions now being raised. This report has created an absolute storm on social media as well. Let's take this right across to economists joining us on the show. Right now, we have with us Sanchita Mukherjee, an economist and an independent business consultant. Professor Arun Kumar, author and senior economist, is also with us. Let me begin by asking you, Professor Arun Kumar, the fact that much is being made now about the fact that the International Monetary Fund seems to think that India is set to slip below Bangladesh in 2020 per capita GDP. Hardly the Achhe Din that were promised, people are saying. Also highlighting the fact that just 5 years ago, India's GDP was 40% more. What would this indicate in your opinion?
So, if you look at the historical data, before the pandemic, for 8 quarters, the economy was declining. It declined from 8.2% quarterly growth rate to 3.1%. And that was largely because, the unorganized sector got hit by the, demonetization and GST and the NBFC crisis and all those things. And this is the fourth crisis that is hitting the Indian economy, the pandemic, So that's why the Indian economy, when it's slipping, its per capita income will also not show the growth that it was showing earlier. And Bangladesh has not been hit by these policy-induced shocks. And that's why Bangladesh economy has done better than the Indian economy in the past. But the real worry is that what has the pandemic done? The pandemic has laid low the unorganized sector again, and millions of people have lost work. Even in rural areas, if you look at the NSO data, the Indian economy is not doing well in agriculture because poultry and milk production, floriculture, horticulture, they've all suffered a decline in the first quarter. So that's why the Indian economy did not decline by 23.9%, but it declined more by some like 40 to 50% in the first quarter, and it's continued to decline. And even now, according to most analysts, the decline is still there because large components of the services sector, and that's the largest component of the economy, that is still suffering, whether you take hotels and restaurants, whether you take travel and tourism, and various other sectors. So in other words, the economy is doing quite badly. And unfortunately, the IMF only collects the data from the government. It doesn't have an independent database. So whatever the government says it is saying, so it says that for the year we'll have minus 10.3%.
So effectively what you're saying is the real picture could be far, far worse, if anything.
That's right. Because the IMF is also lagging behind, because it had only projected minus 4.5 and in the beginning of the year plus 5.9. So usually the IMF is behind the curve. And therefore, Goldman Sachs and others are saying their fall would be more like minus 15% or thereabouts.
Sanchita Mukherjee, why, in your opinion, is India lagging behind to this extent? Was it the fact that it had one of the world's strictest lockdowns for perhaps one of the longest periods as well? Or has this been, as Professor Kumar suggests, a cumulative effect of, earlier policy decisions coupled with what we've seen during the lockdown?
Yes, I would go with the latter completely. We were already in a slowdown before the pandemic hit us. And I think the pandemic exaggerated. Couple of points that I would like to address over here. The only thing I agree with Dr. Arun Kumar is that yes, IMF forecasts usually come with a huge lag. And what I would like you to understand is globally, we are in a pandemic situation, right? So we need to take these economic forecasts also with a pinch of salt, because let's understand, nobody in the world at this point in time, be it IMF, be it World Bank, be it the larger economies, Western economies, nobody has seen a crisis of this situation that has been unfurled onto this world, right? Now, nobody knows in the next few quarters how each economy will recover. You are reading into the economic forecast of the IMF for this financial year. But also, one must understand what is the forecast being given on the rebound. So financial year 2021-22, the consensus amongst all economists, be it IMF, Goldman Sachs, Nomura, all of that, the consensus is that yes, India will be the fastest rebound. That is also there in the IMF report.
But Sanchita Mukherjee, even as we say that, it's interesting to note that between its June forecast and now its October forecast, the IMF has had to revise it downwards considerably from about 4.5% to 10.3 or 10.5% now. So, we can't at this point really say that 8.8% growth that's being predicted for 2021-22 is necessarily going to be how things play out. And indeed, we'll have to wait for that rebound to happen.
Absolutely.
But Sanchita, the point at this juncture is that this is becoming a huge political talking point as well. You have opposition politicians talking about where's the Achhe Din, and is this what 5 years of the NDA government has done? The fact that in 2015 we had a situation where India's per capita GDP was 40% that of 40% higher than Bangladesh's, and what is it that has led to this present situation? Your thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. Yes, my thoughts would be, let's compare apples to apples. Now, you really cannot in all good breath be comparing Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, some of these economies with the Indian economy, right? We are it's not apples to apples comparison, first and foremost. Secondly, yes, right now, because of this pandemic situation, and because given the fact that nobody actually knows how the situation will unfold in the next few quarters, there needs to be very targeted spending, which needs to be done. Politically, I would refrain from any comments because I do not represent any political party, right? I'm talking from business point of view. There has to be targeted spending by the government and by the private sector on the sectors which are worst hit. Having said that, let's not look at the Indian economy with one large brush of this GDP forecast. Let's understand there are sectors which have shown tremendous green shoot right now. If you were to look at the September-October data, if you were to look at the SBI macro indicators, the Apple Mobility Index, the kind of e-way bills that are being printed, the offtake in rural consumption, for example, that this year we've had a bumper crop. So rural consumption is actually taken off in a big way, much larger than urban consumption at this point in time. There is pent-up demand. There is a lot of tractor sales, two-wheeler sales which have come.
What about unemployment, Sanchita Mukherjee? We're seeing one of the highest unemployment figures also that we've witnessed, for as long as one can remember, actually.
Yes, that's quite right. And in this aspect, I agree with you. Unemployment is a huge beast, and that should be the first and foremost priority of the government in terms of doing targeted spending in sectors wherein you can have very large employment generated. That should be a very targeted focus, and I think the government is looking at that. What I'm trying to say over here, that again, within silos, let's look at verticals. Data sciences, analytics, cloud computing, digitization. Again, India is leading the world in digitization. There's a lot of hiring which is happening in data sciences companies, right? So people do not talk about that. We should be talking more about upskilling our labor.
Fair enough. Arun Kumar, your last thoughts. The IMF is also predicting an 8.8% growth in the following fiscal. Is that, in your opinion, realistic given what we are seeing this year?
No, you see, the point is that when the first quarter decline was there, 23.9% officially, but I think if you include the unorganized sector, the decline was more like 50%, And in the second quarter, suppose there's only 10% decline, then for the remaining part of the year, you'd have to have a plus 8% rate of growth to reach the IMF target, which is impossible given the large decline that has taken place, as you said, in unemployment, especially in the unorganized sector. You know, even the professionals, according to CMI, 5 million professionals have lost work, and 17 million, you know, organized sector workers have lost work, and incomes have been cut, you know, large swath of the economy. So consumption is down. The RBI consumer survey shows that the consumer confidence is down, the investor confidence is down. So both consumption and investment being down, you're not suddenly going to have a spurt in the remaining half of the year. And secondly, this idea that you'll have an 8% rate of growth in the next year, we don't know. As Sanchita is rightly pointing out, the situation is so uncertain. Right. Our first round of attack has not peaked. The second round is on the anvil. You know, you're already seeing in Europe 1 lakh cases a day. So we are likely to have a second round, and the health minister has already pointed to that. And that's why I don't think that Diwali and the festival season is going to see a sharp spurt in demand. You know, the pent-up demand, when it goes, then again the automobile sales, etc., is going to decline. FMCG sales will also decline once this spurt, you know, the pent-up demand goes. So I don't see such a sharp turnaround. And as many analysts are saying, it will be at least 2 years before we reach the 2019 GDP. So having a low base and having, you know, some growth, that's fine. But, you know, it's not as if you're going to reach the 2019, you know, GDP for at least the coming 2 years. That's an important distinction to make,
yes. All right, we leave it at that. Arun Kumar, Sanchita Mukherjee, thank you very much indeed for joining us on this quick discussion.